Hey, what's up friends, and welcome back to the channel. Guys, in this video we're going to be talking all about my new set of gloves by Giver. Now I went ahead and picked up two different sets of their gloves. I have the classic and the lightweights. And so in this video we're going to talk all about the difference between the two of them, why I have them, a little bit about some of my other gloves here, and of course the build quality and construction. So let's get into it. Now, if you're like me, friends, you're always running down to the hardware store, grabbing yourself a set of gloves, and within a month's time, they're just shot. And not only do I get tired of making that trip down to the hardware store, but also I just hate and detest the consumerism. Part of being a good gentleman for me is really just being a good steward of what you have. And of course, on the boot channel, that's why we're constantly looking at how to polish and care and condition our boots and our leathers, and just keeping them not only looking good, but making sure that leather is going to last into the ages. And that's how I got hooked in with Giver. This company is based up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and they live and breathe this stuff. And I'm keen to find out if these gloves hold up to the standard that they said they would. So guys, I went ahead and got the classics and the lightweights, and the reason I did that is because they serve two different purposes. Now I got a bunch of gloves in front of me, anywhere from these impact gloves to these soft but grippy gloves. This is a traditional Wells Lamont that I would pick up over at Big R or something. Guys, if you're running these, you already know. I mean, these things probably lasted a day. You might be wondering, why do I have some of these? Well, I've gathered them from cleanup and hauling jobs. And when I hire some guys and I have a crew working for me and they don't come prepared with a set of gloves, well, at that point it's either send them home, send them to the hardware store, or just hook them up. So I keep some of these around, that way if a guy shows up to work and he doesn't have a set of gloves, then at least I have something that he can put on his hands. And so these are basically the same version of that Wells Lamont. You know, this is kind of that rough out leather, but these guys here kind of are in that category. This is something I keep tucked in the door of my truck. I keep it there so I can just grab it and go. No matter what I'm doing, I always have those there. Now the next thing that they had is these classics. These are lined gloves, and so that's going to give you all the protection that you need during the winter. But then Giver takes it a step further, and they have their all season. And so these gloves are meant to go down to the negative temperatures. A lot of people run them for skiing. Again, up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, it snows a lot and it's cold. And so these guys will run that all season, 4-season gloves, and they're just quite a bit thicker, quite a bit bulkier. And then they even have a mitten. And so I haven't ever got into mittens. I could see maybe if I was out trekking and just had to do some skiing, but I've always liked my fingers loose. And so I went with these. The difference real quick between these and the all season is it doesn't have this elastic band. So those gloves would actually kind of have something like this sticking out, and it would provide a lot more grip around your wrist so that cold air and weather and snow can't get inside there. Other from that, of course, they're quite a bit warmer, meant for those lower temperatures. These things are supposed to go down to the 40s, 30s just fine without a problem. My hands tend to run a little warm, and so I didn't go a step further. I'm gonna see how these do, but I can imagine I'll end up adding a set of those to my repertoire as well. One of the things I want to get into first is the build quality. Now guys, on this channel we talk a lot about leather. We love leather, we love how it smells, we love how it feels on our feet, and there's nothing better than having a good set of gloves on your hands. Now these are 100% grade A premium cowhide, and what they do, I was actually speaking with Giver, I was emailing back and forth, and they were kind enough to tell me a little bit about the process. And so it's a water-based veg tan. And so what that's gonna do, they said they spread it out over a long period of time. So they're not too keen on oils here, but they actually put in a beeswax. So these guys here have a beeswax and these don't. Not sure if it's showing up great, but there's quite a color difference. And of course it's cowhide, so the leather is gonna be different across maybe one glove versus the next, and I just eat that stuff up. Now we get some guys that come around the channel and they really like those really fine calfskin boots and polish them up in the waxes and stuff, kind of like Kirby Allison, and I get it. I have an appreciation for that as well. But guys, on this channel, it's typically the run and gun, rough and tough type of stuff. And so I love when the leather has different imperfections. But so it's a veg tan process. but it's water-based and it's really lengthy. It's time-consuming, and so the company's all about thinking consciously about their footprint and dealing with people to find the best quality materials and treating them with respect. Guys, we can get on board with that, with the gentleman's journey, can't we? Hit the like button if you want to see a culture of guys turn towards respect and dignity and honor and sustainability. Products that you're not running back down to Big R or the local hardware store once a month, twice a month, and running through a new set of gloves. Of course, these guys here are lined. They have a couple different linings in there. Guys, check the website. They go through some details. Of course, Giver has some product videos and whatnot to talk about the different type of lining that goes into that. You're not gonna see me cutting them in half and trying to piece them apart and finding out what's all in there. It's just not gonna happen. But let's move on next to the sizing. So I ended up with extra large, and how I got there was by my little measuring tape. Now, if you just have a metal measuring tape, it's gonna get you there, because guess what? I brought this out for the video, but I used a metal measuring tape when I did it. So you wanna get a tape and wrap it around your hand, and then find out what that measurement is right there. And then they want you to measure from the top of your finger down to your wrist. So take that measurement, and that's gonna tell you with their little chart on the website, which I'm gonna put a link to that in the description below. You'll find it's an affiliate link, so if you purchase anything through there, I get a little kickback and it helps me bring you videos just like this. I only do that around products that I can get behind. And so I can tell you right now that I love this company. I can get behind these products. I just can't speak highly enough about them. So that's how you get your measurement, you get fitted, and so that brought me to an extra large, and I'm happy to say that both set of gloves, now this is the classic, and this is the lightweight, both set of gloves fit me like a glove. And so, friends, again, this has a little bit of loose opening. This is their lightweight. This is the run and gun, and you grab a set of gloves, you go work with some baling wire, some barbed wire, you get out there and change the tire and do what you need to do, and these ones will get it done. This just adds that little bit more bulk to it, and of course, it's gonna be that much warmer. So the break-in process is actually gonna kind of get you guys jazzed, I think, because it's a little bit like a set of Red Wings. Now, we just did the Iron Ranger video not too long ago and talked about the break-in process. Guys, if you broke in a set of Red Wings, Iron Rangers, or even some Thursdays, you'll know that it's a process. That leather is molding to your foot. You guys are working, you're fighting, you're getting through it, but that boot's gonna be yours. Well, Giver's just like that. They say that it's gonna be a process, and they want their gloves to fit snug. They actually have a video on their website where you put the gloves in the oven and bake them for just a little bit, and then you put them back on if you really are having troubles getting them to fit. But you really don't want them to fit really, really big. So they have a great return policy. They'll work with you, just get it sorted. But I don't think that's gonna be an issue. It wasn't an issue for me. I was so happy to find a set of gloves that fit me well. Guys, I run down to the hardware store and I constantly get stuck with these tiny gloves. In fact, there's no way in the world these things would fit me. I just, like I said, I keep them for my guys or whatever. But I have a hard time finding XL. Well, they had, I think, double XL and beyond. So they went up a couple layers, bigger than what I would wear. So I was actually really impressed with that. If that's you guys, I think you're gonna have a lot of luck here. Now, if you're like me and you get your gloves wet, especially in the snow or working, guys, I was in the oil field for a little bit. You get your gloves wet and you need to dry them off. One of the things they say is grab a little toilet paper guy and stick it in there, and then stick it right in front of a heater, some kind of heater that has a fan or something, so it's gonna be blowing. And that's gonna get that forced air into the glove a little bit better than just sitting there like that. Of course, if you have the boot dryers, you can set them on there and let them dry. It's just not a place where you want a bunch of moisture to build up. Not a good idea, just like boots. You guys get it. So if you're gonna condition them, they say about once a season. And they actually recommend this Snow Seal. So it's a beeswax. This one actually is older and it has silicones added. I'm not convinced that the new jars have that silicone added, but this isn't like your fine cordovan leather boots or something. We're not talking about that. It's a set of work gloves, guys, right? So I'm gonna put a link to this in the description below as well. They say about once a season, go ahead and wax it up. They don't really like oils. They like that beeswax. and that's what this has in it. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys these are the gloves that are gonna serve every single purpose, because you know, just like I do, it's not the case. That's why I bought 2 sets, because each set of glove always serves its own purpose. When I was in the oil field, slinging around this hammer all day in the freezing ice cold and rain, I needed a set of impact gloves, and so that's why I had to run something like these. It's just what OSHA wanted us to have, and it protects your fingers in a way that these aren't going to do as much. Of course, then you have some that are grippy on the bottom. These are also that high impact style, but they have that certain level of grip. I mean, we could go down the rung, and there's just the right tool for the right job, and that's what I love. As I become more and more like a gentleman, I just think that we have the right tool for the right thing, and if you have the ability, why not? Of course, I'm gonna grab a set like this and just get it done. I'm the guy that gets in there and gets after it, but hey, as I get older, I like to have the right tool for the right job. So if it's cold, the snow's flying, I'm not gonna grab the lightweights, I'm gonna go for the classics all day long. And I think we've covered it pretty well, but just to confirm, guys, the reason I chose Giver is because they're a company I can get behind. I want something that's sustainable, I want something that's tough more than anything, and I want a company, it's American based, so you can't go wrong with that. They have great customer service, they were great with me, and so I've been putting them through the paces. Of course, you know, guys, I was chopping some wood. I'm over here in Colorado right now, back home, and it's getting cold. We're getting those cold temperatures, so I'm splitting a little bit of wood. I was working out on the RV. You know, I like to grab these. I have these, again, next to in my little cubby next to my seat in my truck, and I'll grab these on. I was changing out the propane bottle, and of course that has some rough edges on it and stuff. I used to think that it was more manly and more cool to just grab stuff barehanded, but as I get older, friends, that cold metal on that propane bottle just doesn't jive with me. I just don't think it's as cool as I thought it was before. In fact, that's what I say on the gentleman's journey. I think it's, you know, more of a gentleman type of deal to stop this machismo thing and just throw a set of gloves on and protect your hands. That's that stewardship thing. These are the only hands that God gave me, so I'm gonna protect them as best I can, and I think the way to do that is to pick up a set of Giver gloves. So again, I'm gonna drop a link in the description below. You can check them out, see if it's something that is gonna be good for you. I'm gonna keep putting them through their paces. Guys, until the next video, hey, don't forget to give those boots some love from time to time. God bless you, and we'll see you then.
It's clear to see from up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.